Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony and this is my workshop, and if you follow me you know that I'm right in the middle of building an Armortek Series 1 Land Rover, another amazing 1/6 scale kit from Armortek, and I'm thoroughly enjoying the whole build process, and I hope you're enjoying the whole stages with me as well. If you're tuning into this and you're finding it's a Wednesday or a Thursday evening, you're not going mad. I'm doing a midweek release of this particular part of the build because there's a lot of work to put into this, but I consider this as away from the build, if you like. I didn't want to interrupt the next critical stage of the build, which will be the bulkhead going onto the chassis and starting to build up all the body parts around that in the fenders and everything else. Got some ideas on those as well for some mods that you can easily do. So what I've got here is the the photograph of what the dashboard should look like. And obviously mine's going to be in the RAF blue, so completely different. And out of the box, you know, you can make it look like this. You can have the 3 dials that they give you the decals for, and you've got the bezel around the fascia. But I wanted to just add a little bit more detail because I think this is an opportunity to add your personality. Like I said before on the Hetzer, you know, these models are amazing things to build, but you should also try and put your own personality into them. And this is a great opportunity to find that creative part of you. Now I'm only going to use bits that I've got lying around in my spare part boxes and my bits and bobs boxes, and I've had a rifle through and I've found some bits that I think are appropriate and will be easily modified. So just using standard tools like a small saw, a bench grinder. I've got a bench grinder, but you don't need a bench grinder, just little files or whatever, just a bit of patience and a bit of paint. It's amazing what we can achieve. So this session is all about this little dashboard. So you can either fast forward it or skip it entirely if you just want to see the build, which will be coming up. Yeah, the next video will be released Friday evening. So I won't be doing a sign-off video to this. I will just crack on, show you my ideas. I really hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you at the weekend. So ahead of cracking on with the installation of the main body parts, thought I'd just talk you through this. So this is, we're going to build up the detail on the dashboard now, and in the kit you get 3 of these, what the Armortek call decals. I've already cut and put one in, the smallest one. There's only 3 because from left to right, if I just sort of if I do it this way around, so this is being my if you like the left here. This is where the key ignition switch goes. This is where this first dial goes. Then there's a medium one which will go in here, and then obviously the speedo which will go in here. So these need to be cut out and just glued in. So I'm going to do that ahead of I'm going to turn this around, so I have to remember I'm doing this upside down, ahead of doing the main sort of dashboard cover. So I've got a very brand new blade in my scalpel, and I'm going to very carefully now try my best to cut this out by pretty much holding the scalpel where it is and rotating the printed dials around. I'm not too concerned because obviously we've got the main sort of fascia plate that goes over the top of this. So if you do inadvertently make a mistake, you can probably be relaxed in the fact that the fascia plate will probably cover most of the problem, I hope, at least. I was just keen to get on with this, quite keen to see how it looks. Excuse me. My experiment with the bezels, I think it's gone all right. Now it's not exactly true to scale, but I think by the time my my driver's sitting at it and everything else, I think it'll work quite well. I've just lost my place there a little bit. There we go. Just lift that up so I can see where I'm got to be. I'm on that line there. I can see it now. Just applying it, just enough pressure. You say, what is just enough pressure? You'll know when you're cutting this out. Just turning it the other way around so I can just trace that line around. that should just pop out, and it has. Scalpel away, and that's it. That's the little speedo. I'm sure that you can see that on my finger. So I'm going to install this. Let me spin that around. Actually, I'll do it so I don't make any mistakes. That's going to go on this one here, the larger of all the dials, and I'll put it up the right way round. And I'm going to put this on with, I'll put it on with a bit of super glue. And then I'm just going to pop that. Oh, of course. Try and get the dial so that the mileage is that the right way around. It's hard to tell. Is that the right way around? I'm gonna, yeah, that's the right way around. So the numbers are on the bottom. One of the more awkward little jobs we're going to have to do on this. I'm just going to try and get that to pop in. Just need a little bit of poly roll. Kitchen roll, whatever you guys call it, and that's sitting in there okay. I'm happy with that. So we'll just do the middle one now. Same deal, just holding the scalpel as still as I can and rotating the paper around it. I guess if you do really mess this up, you could contact Armortek, and I'm sure they'd be quite happy to post out a spare one. I did contemplate sort of doing a bit of research on the internet and, you know, printing the dials off myself just in case I cocked this up. So that is also an option. Sorry, I'm being really quiet because I don't want to mess this up. Turn that round to see if I've got the full circle cut, and I do. Just go around working it out. There we go. I can now pop the cover on that. I've got to try and see which way around this goes. So it's time to look at the research book, I think, very quickly. So let's just get that. Got the page marked. So this is the petrol. So the arrow should be pointing down. So the arrow is pointing down. If that, I don't know if you can see that in between my big old fat fingers. Probably not. So the gauge is pointing down. I'm just going to double check that one last time. Yeah, gauge is pointing down, so the little arch of numbers are on the bottom. Small detail, but you know, nonetheless quite important, I think. Get this. Try and get this in without too much fuss. That's actually gone in too easy. It seems that the hole was slightly too big for that, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So that's that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working up this, what I'm calling the fascia plate, this being here. So I've got my little black painted copper washers, and I think they look fine. I mean, they wouldn't be as thick as that, but I don't have a machine or a means to thin these down or even make something like this, and I've looked high and low and I couldn't see anything that could replicate them, but I think they'll be fine. So I'm going to get my there's another few things I want to do to this, but I will I'm just going to get myself the right piece of wooden dowel, because I'm going to use the wooden dowel to sort of help me position these, and then I'll be straight back. Right, so I'm using a different glue this time. This is this B7000. This is a really nice flexible glue, so I'm just going to put a bit on this little pad here. Although the sort of the distributor is very narrow on this, it's probably still too much glue for what we need to bond these onto this. Then I'm going to use my little sharp pointy tool, as I call it. Let me just clean that up on my belt sander. It just gets all the other residual glue off. I've already put this one on, so let me just check that we're going to put the right size one on, and it's going to be this one here, which is the next size up. Just going to get some glue on that, and I don't want to go mad. I just want to put tiny, smallest amount of glue. In fact, what I might try and do is get it on the back of this. Might be easier. And what I like about this glue is it doesn't go off straight away. You get a chance to manipulate it, and once it's on though, it goes off. Very, very strong glue. So I'm just going to try and drop that into place. I'll use my little wooden dowel now. I don't want it to be too close to that side, so I'm just going to use the wooden dowel just to push that over. I'm going to make sure that the little one that goes in the middle here works fine, and it does. So that's in there. The wooden dowel just helps me push it into the, into using the internal diameter of the actual hole. So that's that. I think that's lined up. Just eyeing that in. I think that's absolutely fine. So we do exactly the same again. These little details are really what makes the difference in the model. I mean, you may not even see this very well when the canopy's on and everything else, but it really does make the difference. So I'm just going to try and drop that into position. Now my wooden dowel's probably going to be too big to go through there, but we'll see. No, it is, but it's actually perfect. So I'm just going to make sure I'm just looking down the line of that, and that's bang on. And if we were just at this stage just to drop that on top of that, hopefully you can see what I'm trying to achieve. I think that looks pretty good. Again, it's not accurate, it's not to a perfect scale. Now I've got another idea for this one here, but it doesn't stop me getting this bezel on. In fact, I'd rather put the bezel on now so that it's done. It's starting to go off that. Don't have a lot of time with it. Right, and we'll just try and pop that into position. Again, using my little wooden dowel to help me with centering that up. I think it needs to go over just a tad. But this will help me line this up just by putting it inside the hole and using the actual, this piece here, the fascia, as a guide, and just pressing that hard up against that. And that is kind of where we want it to be, I think. Yeah. Just might move that one over a tad. Just looking down the line of that, making sure that is all lined up. And that's it. So that's that piece done. Now there's some other bits that I want to add to this, which I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, for ostensibly, I think that looks pretty good. Don't know what you guys think, but I think that looks pretty cool. Right, so that's all cleaned up, and I've got them here as a comparison. So I'll make a decision in a moment. But the idea is that will sit on this. Let's pop that around, so that would go on there. And I'll show you with this, that sits in there. And that little brass grommet just allows that to stand off. I don't know if you can see that. Clear of the bezel. So that one would work. I think that works quite well. This, I think, will work quite well as well. Probably, let's have a look, probably better in scale. The problem is, obviously, I need to make sure that that's going to stand out. And going on there. Something's got stuck in that. That's all right. So I'm going to use one of these. So I think a good size would be these grommets here. As I said, are the great little things for if you're working with plastics and things like that. You can just drill a hole, tap them into the hole with a hammer, a little pin hammer, glue them into position, and that gives you a threaded piece here. But I'm using them for a completely different idea, and that I'm just thinking that's going to glue straight onto that. So I'll do that and see how that pans out. Just a bit of glue on the end of that. Hold that into position. Hopefully that holds. Put the lid back on the glue. And then once that's set, we can decide whether or not that is more appropriate to use. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, while I'm waiting for that to set, I'm also going to look at just see what I can get for this as an alternative, as just a piece to replicate the ignition switch. Right, well that's set, that's fine, but I've got another idea. So oil light would be this position here. Now I can't find anything really that appropriate, so I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll use some of this paint I have here, which is Signal Red. This is an acrylic paint, and just give that a bit of shake up. Popped it into one of my, these are glue dispensing bottles, but they serve other purposes. Not too much of that. Pop that on that. Pop that over that. And then, I just need something as a bit of test area. Just see if I can just get enough paint just to squeeze out of that. There's a little blob. Right. So I'm going to use this hole. I'm just going to put some paint in it. Just like that. I'm going to pop the lid back on that so that doesn't go off. Get some kitchen towel. Pop that on there. Now, if I really want to go funky, I might do a blue and another colour, because that'd be cool. I think that's going to work really well, because once that is in position over the top of that, you're just going to see a suggestion of the red. I think that's going to work really, really well. So that's that. I might go and see what other colours I have. So I've found some orange and I found some yellow. So I'm going to do the yellow first, because on my Series 1, the REF version, there's a yellow light. Well, that's what I'm telling people anyway. Just test that. There we go. That's the yellow. These are subtle touches which I think are going to make a big difference. So that'll go there, and I think definitely an orange one. I'm just looking at the reference book, and there's another, there's another red switch or something here. So that may have to be, I might have to pop a bit more red in that one. If you're watching this, think you've tuned in to watch Tony's workshop building a Series 1 Land Rover, and you see me doing this, if you think I've lost the plot, you're probably right, but I think this is going to really add to the detail when it's finished. So we do that, and I'm probably going to go off now and get another one of these. I've got one here, I've got another paint jar here. Just going to shake that orange up. Again, on this version of my Series 1, it's got an orange light, because obviously this is designed for the RAF and they needed different coloured lights. Well, that's what I'm sticking to anyway. I'll pop that off there, actually, that's a bit more of a pain. And then we're just going to do a bit of a tester on the orange. That's it. It's very close to the red, but that's fine. And that orange is going to be up here. And there it is. I think that's enough colours for now. So I'll go and get my black acrylic paint now, just so I can sort of paint or test paint my two potential key switches. Right, while I'm waiting for that to dry off, I'll keep moving the goalposts. I've got some black paint, acrylic paint. This is an undercoat, but it'll work just as fine. And I'm going to now get my pieces that I want to paint black, just give them a coat of the undercoat. I thought I'd show you guys this, and I did it so it's a separate, completely separate episode to the series build itself. Just that, I didn't want to just go and ta-da, it's done. So I hope, so this is optional, you know, if hopefully you're watching this, and let me know in the comments if you found this interesting. I've zoomed the camera as close as I possibly can to this. It's amazing with just a little bit of, you know, just a bit of thought and a bit of imagination, what we can achieve as builders. So I'll let them dry off there, and then I know this is hard for you to see, but this is going to be the little choke button. Now I've cut out of my box of bits and bobs. I'm really, really sort of thrilled. As I say, don't ever throw anything out. Just a liberal amount of black undercoat on that, and that will be fine. Don't ever throw anything out when you're modelling, because everything has got a use. So we'll let those dry, and we'll come back and see what else we need to do to them. Right, so these are all dry now, and I must admit I am leaning towards this option. I've got the two, as you saw. I cut this piece off. I'm going to try both and see what they look like, but I also cut down this tiny little piece of soft metal as well, which I found in my box of bits and bobs, and I think if I pop that on there and just glue that into place, I think that'll be perfect. So what kind of glue I'm going to use? I'm going to use the B7000 glue for this. This stuff is amazing. Don't want to use super glue because it can react with the acrylic paint. So I'm just going to literally glue this on like that. Pop that lid back on there. should say, if you're using this glue, you should use a well ventilated, you have the space well ventilated, because it is fumy. And now just pop that, and that's pretty much dead center where I want it. So that's absolutely exactly what I want. Now, so I've also just painted the inside of that bezel there, and I'm just going to put this on here. Let me see if I can just pop this up with a bit of wood. There you go, like that. You can see that. Let me move that in a bit. And we've got some choices now, so we can pop the main fascia on. Just dry fitting it for now. And then we can look at what would look more appropriate. With this work better than the other? That's what I mean. When you've got loads of spare components, you've got a choice. That is a bit fiddly. It should stand up. There we go. And that's in a really crude position, but you can see the, hopefully you can see the, can we get any closer? No, that is it's maximum. I'm sorry guys. So that's that option. Don't think that looks too bad. Then we've got this option, the one I'm leaning towards, I think. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's the right one. I think that's the right one. Looks right in scale. And that, from a distance, will look like the key switch. Now, again, it's not museum accurate, but it's good enough for what we want to do here. I don't need to paint that anymore. The only other thing is this little choke, which I created earlier. I'm hoping that that's going to fit in that hole. Probably not. So, do you know what? I might decide to pop it in the middle hole, because I think it's on the RAF one. So that's there. That's the choke there. I think that looks all right. And I think that will look fine in that position there. Do you know, I think that's absolutely fine. So I think I can stick all that down. The only thing I'm thinking is, what do I do with this hole here? I might put a bit of another colour in that. I might dig out, if there is a blue, I might try and find the blue. So anyway, I'm now going to stick all of this in position. I've made my mind up. I'm going for this particular switch here. As before, I'm going to use this B7000 glue, as it allows me a little bit of time and to be able to manipulate it, but also this will not react with the paint. Super glue can react with the paint, so I'm just going to, not too much. That can be left just like that for now. Put the lid back on. So you should wipe that. I hope this is. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that if you are building one of these, it's giving you some ideas of doing something similar. So now we'll carefully position this. The great thing about this glue, it does give you time to play with it. Just make sure I'm happy with that. Just make sure it aligns, and it does. Now a bit more detail. So need that glue back. Going to glue my light switch in, my ignition switch. I'm just going to check in my book that the alignment's about right. Should be facing down. Excuse me, guys. Yeah, and it does. So that. going to go as dead centre as possible. Move that around. Again, with this glue it's brilliant because it does allow you to manipulate it a little bit. Little playing time. Just going to lift that in my favour so I can just get that centred up. That's it. And the last thing is the choke. So I'm just going to pop some glue on the end of this. That's gone a bit wily. So always try and wipe the excess glue off. Pop that back in. I've just dropped a bit on a little pad over here so I can just get that to that's just going to need to be supported while that goes off. You get the general gist, don't you? That's the choke in position. And I also found a tiny, you're not going to be able to see this in the camera, but a tiny little bolt that was off my train sets. So I'm going to use that as well. And that's going to finish off, that hopefully will finish off this part there. Just use that to manipulate that around. This is a bit fiddly. I could have just left it, but no. Got to keep fiddling, Tony. There we go. It will sit where I want it to sit. There you go. And that's it. Just let that glue go off and then I'll have a good look at it. Well, that's it. All complete. Really, really pleased. All the glue's all set. And I'm really chuffed with that. Chuffed to bits. I hope, I'm just bringing it into the camera, I hope you've enjoyed that, and hope if I've inspired you to do something similar, that's brilliant. As I said, don't get too hung up on accuracy, just it's an interpretation of it. And as you can see, you know, let's face it, when this is in the on the build and it's built onto the Series 1 and you've got your driver there and everything else, you know what, it's going to look amazing. You shouldn't get too hung up. I'm certainly not getting too concerned about it. I love how that looks, and I'm really pleased that I found all the spare bits that I needed in my garage. I didn't have to go and buy anything for that part, and as I said, I thoroughly enjoyed that, and there's an opportunity there for us to put our own personality, our own stamp on it. So now this allows me to carry on with the build in the next session. If you've liked this, please give me a thumbs up or let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, you've just found this, I normally do a lot more information about building. This is just a small detailed video all about this small tiny part, but I think all very crucial. Please subscribe, because we have a long way to go on this. So I'll sign off by saying thanks guys for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you at the weekend.